Time to discuss Bitcoin. I am going to say this as plainly as I can right off the bat. Bitcoin is being co-opted by the globalists for their many nefarious purposes. Begun in 2009, Bitcoin was allowed to trade on the US stock exchange on January 10th, 2024. Before Bitcoin even hit the market, BlackRock, ARK Invest, Invesco, and Fidelity already had applications on file to get a piece of the pie. I think we should watch this wonderful clip from underground writer and researcher Whitney Webb, who, by the way, used to be a shill for Bitcoin. Used to be.
Continues to dominate the charts. Bitcoin is trading in the $60,000 range, down 14% in the past 7 days. While many pundits and experts are still calling for a crypto summer, columnist and researcher Whitney Webb believes the entire outlook on Bitcoin is going awry. In an interview with TFTC, Whitney discussed her findings, and according to her research, the powers that be plan to crash every currency and turn the whole system into a surveillance state. According to Whitney, this is already occurring in parts of South America. The currency has debased so drastically that to have any purchasing power, citizens and companies alike are turning towards stablecoins. According to her research, Whitney believes this is the global plan. However, we still have Bitcoin to combat what is taking place. Yet Whitney believes that the Michael Saylor store of value
to help save for our home, we stopped going on trips and giving each other expensive gifts. We handmade
outlook and the general population's Bitcoin go up sentiment is taking away the true value and function of Bitcoin, which is a permissionless interaction between two entities. Whitney believes that the banks and Wall Street categorizing Bitcoin as just a store of value is playing right into their hands and is exactly the narrative they want the people to have. Whitney is urging everyone to wake up and not let Bitcoin get misused. Let's listen to what Whitney has to say.
In talking about this public-private play, it's important to keep in mind that what happens, I mean, just look at this, the Treasury Secretary office alone. So like in Clinton, it was Robert Rubin, Goldman Sachs. He helps repeal Glass-Steagall. And then when that whole bubble pops in 2008, Goldman Sachs' Henry Paulson is Treasury of the Secretary. Then it's Tim Geithner, who worked under Larry Summers, and Robert Rubin is Treasury Secretary under Obama. And then it's Steve Mnuchin, who was involved in the 2008 financial crisis and whose dad was one of the top guys at Goldman Sachs, and he was also Goldman Sachs. So what they do when they're in power is that they create policies that help benefit them. You know, they came from Goldman Sachs with intentions to implement policies that benefit Goldman Sachs, right? And so generally what happens is that when the private sector wants something, or they've created a big market for something, they've invested lots of money in creating something like the carbon market, and no one's using the carbon market. They are going to then use the public sector to force people to use the carbon market. And so they're trying to do that through the guise of climate emergency, right? And that's not working. So if that's not working, how will they go about and how will they do it? Well, like Mark and I have discussed before, they're trying to go about it the private sector route. Oh, okay, you guys aren't interested in programmable, surveillable money if it's emitted by the central bank. So if it's emitted by a private bank, maybe you will, right? But the other side of this is what's happening in places like Argentina right now, where people have lost so much of their purchasing power. So like before Milei came to power, I think the poverty rate was just, I mean, it was insanely high. I think it was something like 60%. And then Milei came into power and devalued the currency by 50%, which led to a massive loss in purchasing power for Argentinians on top of that. Now Argentinians are so desperate and are being told that they're undergoing quote unquote shock therapy designed by a JP Morgan guy, that they're doing WorldCoin. They're scanning their eyes in the Sam Altman orb for coins and a cattle tag, a digital ID, And the idea is to have that be like your access to the internet, and using, these tokens and these stable coins, using Tether, using USDC, whatever supported by Mercado Libre's giant entity, Mercado Pago, which is also integrated with Brazil's biggest crypto exchange, Mercado Bitcoin. And then there's...
So yeah, Bitcoin has definitely been compromised. However, the people I have polled say they have thus far been very satisfied with it. Although in 2022 Bitcoin did have a major crash, so does everything. That's it for now. Ciao, boys.